Me, I'm the chairman.
I'm all done.
Okay? And this is time for questions by any one of the panel members and the district attorney. I have a couple of questions. Do you feel any responsibility for the murders?
Sure.
Okay. Could you elaborate briefly?
I influenced a lot of people unbeknownst to my own understanding of it. I didn't understand the fears of people outside. I didn't understand the insecurities of people outside. I didn't understand people outside. And a lot of things that I said and did affected a lot of people in a lot of different directions. It wasn't intentional, and it definitely wasn't with malice or forethought.
Okay, you answered it. Do you have remorse, Mr. Manson? Do you feel any remorse for the victims whatsoever?
Now, we reach an impasse here, man. We're in pawn 4, bishop 4 to 7. Let's see. How do I finesse that? You say, in your minds, that I'm guilty of everything that you've got on paper. So therefore, it would run logic that I would need to have remorse for what you think is reality. And if that be true, then all the ocean's contents, if it were my tears, there would not be enough to express the remorse I have for the sadness of that world that you people live in.
Okay.
But I don't have, on the other side of that, I ask you back the same thing. You know, you've been using me ever since I was 10 years old. He used to beat me with leather straps, you know. It's like, does anyone have any remorse that I've spent 23 years in a solitary cell, and even on Devil's Island, you didn't keep anyone over 5 years. You broke every record that they've ever set on the planet Earth. You only kept Christ on the cross 3 days.
Mr. Manson, I think you answered the question. Do you still have a family? Per se, the type of the family you had at the time of the crimes. Do you still have a family?
Family.
Uh-huh.
That's another one of the district attorneys. See, when they set that case into the paperwork to make it real, they had to catch little words so they could turn all that in and make it into a reality. Hippie cult leader is a word that they used. Leader, family.
Well, I believe I read in the reports where you yourself mentioned your family. And
Yeah,
that's
well,
the type of family
you keep
talking
driving
about.
that on me, and then I have to refer to what's already on me.
My simple question is, do you still have a family as existed at that particular time?
I can't answer that in just a bet. You know, it would take more time than you want to listen to me.
Well, yes or
answer.
no? Do you either have a
Well,
family?
there's
or
no
not?
yes or no, but I got to plus the complete don't
All right. All right. All right.
Yes,
now-
no, or bloopy, or dala, outside of the business, or ribbit, you know, like you
Okay.
was stuck in yes and no. Yeah,
All right.
Yeah, all right.
Mr. Brown, do you have any further questions?
I have no further questions.
Mr. Cedal? All right. Mr. Kay, we're going to go to questions by the district attorney on something that has not been covered, anything that has not been covered, or something that he would like to emphasize. He will pose the questions to the panel, and when you answer the questions of Mr. Manson, would you answer the panel, please?
Sure.
Okay? Go ahead, Mr. Kay. Do you have any questions?
We get to do this back the other way?
No.
Oh, yeah.
It's one way.
Now, what all you people think about that? yeah. We had fair play, huh?
Now, let's
Yeah.
pay
Look at the
attention.
camera, look at the
Go ahead.
Yeah, I know.
Mr.
Yeah, I
Kate.
know the way when I see it.
Thank you. I think the interesting thing for the board to do here is to question Mr. Manson about the 9th murder he was convicted of. He doesn't mind talking about the Tate LaBianca murders and the Hinman murder because he's never accepted the law of conspiracy and aiding and abetting in California. And he always thought that if he didn't physically do the murder himself, that he wouldn't be guilty. His followers would be guilty, but he didn't really care about that. But the one murder that he doesn't like to talk about, because the evidence came out in court, that he personally stabbed Shorty Shea to death. He stabbed him, Bruce Davis stabbed him, Tex Watson stabbed him. Yes.
This is time for questions. Do you have
Yes.
any questions?
Yes, that's the question. I would like you to ask Mr. Manson what he did to Shorty Shea.
Which is inside the state prison. You're not missing anything yet. He has not yet come back in. This is a shot of it. You can see our correspondent Peter Thorne sitting off to the left. We're only allowed one camera inside. And of course, you've been looking at the live parole hearing. The last time that Charles Manson was up for parole was back in 1989, February 8th. He waived his personal appearance at that hearing, did not show, but he has, of course, shown today. Let's resume.
Okay, we'll take him. Okay. We reconvened the panel hearing on Charles Manson after a brief break as requested by the prisoner. All participants are present now. We're present prior to the recess. The time is 15 hours. Go ahead, Mr. Manson, with your closing statement regarding suitability.
You're gonna limit me to suitability?
I'll let you ramble a little bit, but I'd like you to stick to
Is that
suitability.
what you call it, rambling?
Well, no, I didn't mean it that way. I will allow you to talk about what you would like to talk about, as long as you don't stray too far from suitability, please.
As long as I don't say anything, it's okay if I talk?
No, I'm allowing you to say it.
You see 9 dead people. That's not even a tip of it. That just set one little blaze to this thing that you call Helter Skelter that you created for Rambo's movies, so all the Italians can move over from New York and move into district attorney's office, and this Anglo-Christian girl don't seem to know which whorehouse has got the red light on it. The law, in my perspective, is a MAC, like there's a court on the inside, like inmate court. We've always held a court in the inner sanctum of prison. Peace officers are servants to the will of everyone. The Bible, the church has a chapel, a preacher in it. We abide by the rules and regulations. It goes into the courtroom to do the same. If I abide by the rules and regulations, I can walk in harmony with God. If I don't abide by the rules and regulations, sooner or later, I have to fall short and go through a lot of changes. It's best you look into my mind now while you got a chance while I'm still here. I know a lot about law. I know the judge's bench. I know crime and school and doctors and reports, and I know bad and good and money and economy and gambling and prostitution. I see the world from the underworld up. So I go out in the desert when I get out in 54, and I see birds and I see bees and bugs and trees, and then I get locked up. And when I get back out again, all these bugs and birds and trees are gone. There's shopping malls where the lake used to be, using up all the water. And the creeks is over there where the freeway is, and you can't swim there anymore. There's no more fish there, and civilization has moved out and it's choking all the life off the earth. So it's not my affair. I just got out of jail. I don't know that much about it. A couple old men I met in Mexico City. We used to deal mushrooms and talk about the planet and the earth and the balance of the earth. And all these kids come around me, and I'm playing music, and they ask me, how do I know these things, and where does these things come from? And I said, well, the only thing I know is what I learned in jail, man. You know, like, my brother's in jail. Like, my brother, you know, my brother's like, he's God, you know, he lives in jail, you know. And that's all I know is what I've done, you know. I say, but I tell you, them, if you don't stop cutting them trees down, there's going to be nothing of you left, you know. And a lot of the kids never met anybody that told them the truth. They never had anybody that was truthful to them, you know. They never had anybody that wouldn't lie or snake on them or play old fake games. So all I did was I was honest with a bunch of kids, and they would come to me and say, we ain't got no place to stay. And I said, well, I ain't got no place to stay either. And they say, well, can we stay with you? I said, can you stay with me? They'd say, well, we want to be a family. I said, don't put no tags on my toes, man. Don't give them people nothing to identify with that they can come back and put me back in the penitentiary with. I know what conspiracy is. I got an intelligence. I'm not that stupid.